It is now 7 o'clock. I call to order this Planning Commission meeting for April 15th, 2026. Shay, if you could do a roll call, please.
Yes. Commissioner Drennan.
Present.
Commissioner Green. Commissioner Jura.
Present.
Commissioner Moran.
Here.
Commissioner Richardson.
Here.
Commissioner Turner.
Here.
Commissioner Ween.
Here.
Commissioner Yan.
Here.
If everybody would please rise and pledge allegiance with me. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So next is approval of last meeting's minutes for, when was it? January 21st, I believe.
Yes, our first quarter meeting.
So do I have a motion to accept those minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 So moved.
And Mr. President, if you give me just a moment, I'm going to switch over the camera feed so that our presentation takes up the majority of the screen rather than ourselves. So this way the folks at home can see the content of tonight's meeting. So everyone at home should be able to see the presentation. It's up on the big screen now, and we are down in the lower corner. Oh, yeah. Don't worry about it. It's
Okay.
software. Yep. We are unmuted on there, right? Yes, okay. Okay.
Okay, so old business, Shay, would you?
Yes, so the first item under old business tonight is PC 25-06, Twin Creek Builders petitioning for the approval of a major subdivision to divide a parcel at 800 Country Club Road into 3 parcels for the construction of single-family homes. We had previously heard this petition and had laid it over for a period of 90 days. That timeline is coming up. And so I'm here this evening with this item on the agenda on behalf of Twin Creek Builders to request an additional 90-day extension. I got a call from Mr. Miller just last week. They are working with our utility department to finalize the utility improvements necessary for their subdivision at that location. And so they requested an additional extension. And so I would ask the commissioners tonight, after we do the public hearing part, for a motion to lay this over for another 90 days. Yeah, this is the one we had, I think, back in December? Yeah. Yes.
Are we allowed to extend it over the 90? I thought there was a,
Yes, as long as it's requested by the petitioner.
Okay.
So, yep.
so do they need to stand, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to make the motion.
Oh, I didn't know, do they need to stand and request it, or?
No, they don't need to be here to request it, and they did, because, like I said, I know they were speaking with Bill Foley last week, and so they had reached out to me to ask for more time. So I don't believe they're here tonight. No, I don't see Mr. Miller here. So they had made that request. So if the commissioners would be so interested in, I think we officially still have to do the public hearing part, but then make the motion.
Yeah, so I now open the floor for the public hearing. Anybody would like to speak in favor of this petition? Nobody. Anybody opposed to the petition? I close this public hearing.
I motion that we extend this to 90 days for Twin Creek Builders.
Second.
Okay, so 1 second, get my notes here.
Mhm.
Seconded was by Commissioner Moran? Okay, all right. Would you like me to go ahead and take the roll call vote?
Yes, Shay, if you would please call the roll.
Okay. Commissioner Ween,
Yes.
Commissioner Jura,
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson,
Yes.
Commissioner Yan,
Yes.
Commissioner Turner,
Yes.
Commissioner Moran,
Yes.
and Commissioner Drennan.
Yes.
Okay. Motion has carried.
All right, so.
Okay.
You with that? So we move on to new business?
Oh, there's still one other old business item.
Oh, I didn't see it. I apologize. So PC 2602, the City of Fairmont is petitioning to repeal and replace Article 5.3 signs and similar structures to better define and regulate all forms of signage. How is that going? I know last time you kind of threw it all away.
We have finalized that draft that we had showed to you all, the commissioners, earlier. So for the public here tonight, as a very brief overview, we did do a public information meeting at 5 o'clock today, and a video of that is available on the city's YouTube page for folks to go back and watch. All the information on the amendments are also available online at the Agenda Center for today's meeting for the Planning Commission. What this petition is a complete repeal and replacement of Article 5.3, sign and similar structures within the zoning code. The intent of this repeal and replacement is in order to adopt a set of proposed regulations which will be more conducive for all, people who work with signs within the city, from our residents to businesses to even the staff of the city itself and the sign companies that help manufacture signs for our local businesses. Our current sign code has 20 sections, including one repeated section with varying regulations in it. And it takes often many hours of review to even be able to confirm if a single sign on a sign permit has met all of the requirements. And I'm not exaggerating, it takes hours under our current code. The proposed code will instead reduce it down to 12 subsections. These are all new. Those 12 sections are purpose, general regulations that apply to all signs, the permits and procedures for permitting, a new type of special sign called heritage signs, our regulations for non-conforming signs, significantly simplified from what they are currently, the rules on prohibited signs, how we measure signs, how we regulate illumination of signs, and then the 4 types of signs themselves, beyond heritage and prohibited. And those are on-premise signs. We think of those as permanent signs, typically used by businesses in order to advertise or to get information out to the public. Then we have permanent exempt signs. These are signs that do stay up in perpetuity, but do not require a sign permit to do so, yet are regulated and do oftentimes have limitations. The next category is temporary exempt signs. We think of this like when people put up signs about a special sale, event, or other temporary activity, and signs that are up for 1-2 weeks or maybe even a month. So those fall under temporary signs. And then last is off-premise signs, which is just another legal term for billboards. So our new proposed sign code would just have those 12 sections. Moving on from that, here on the screen in the presentation, and for those here in the room, on the back along the wall is the draft sign code, and it goes through each of these sections. So first we do purpose, which helps define the principles of why we're regulating signs and the intent of these regulations. And then the regulations that apply to all signs, particularly for clear vision area of roadways, driveways, and also so we don't inhibit the pedestrian pathways, whether those are sidewalks or other access to buildings and property. The next part is the permits and procedures. This is also simplified from our current code, and this walks you through when is a permit required, Maintenance and whether maintenance requires a permit or not, what the application is like, what the review process is like, and lastly, the inspection of signs, which require a permit, and how that works as well. Section 5.3.4 is heritage signs. So this is something new I want to touch on briefly. These are the signs for typically businesses that are no longer in operation within our community. A good example would be the old motor lodge signs on buildings in downtown, or old warehouse and other storage businesses that are painted on these building walls. They don't always have to be painted signs, but that's just one of the best examples most folks can think of. Heritage signs is a way for us to legalize those signs and allow for them to be maintained. It does require someone applying to get a sign approved as a heritage sign, and then that sign is maintained in a registry at the Planning and Development Department to make sure that we have a list of those ongoing and keeping a record of that to be fair to all persons who may have an old sign on their property. And these are the rules about how those signs are managed should they be approved to be a heritage sign. The next part is the non-conforming sign rules. So this addresses what happens if you have a sign that does not meet the regulations within the sign code or other aspect of the zoning code. This includes alterations, relocations, maintenance, and other things related to non-conforming signs. These regulations do simplify that and will make it much easier for businesses to do minor updates and to maintain and even relocate non-conforming signage on their property. The next part is the prohibited sign section. So this does outline a number of types of signs which are outright prohibited within the city of Fairmont. There are not a number of significant changes here from our current regulations. However, some of this is just better phrased and laid out in such a way that is much easier, I think, for the lay person to go through and understand what this section is trying to tell us. And with that, so things that are prohibited are signs that obviously are abandoned unless they're declared a heritage sign, mechanically activated moving signs, signs that flash or are digitally animated because of their danger to motorists, these signs that are activated by wind, thermal change, or other environmental inputs, things that obstruct the ingress and egress from doors, windows, fire escapes, or exits, vehicle signs on inoperable vehicles or trailers, signs that are basically graffiti or unauthorized signs that are placed upon structures that they shouldn't be on, like a utility pole, fire escape, or other element, and many other signs kind of listed here, including those on the public right-of-way, which may negatively impact the safety of pedestrians or motorists. The next part of the code goes into how we measure signs. It's only 3 columns long, and it's as simple as if your sign has a background, we measure the sign with its entire background. If it has freestanding letters, such as in the second image, then we just measure each letter, drawing a rectangle around each of those. If it's in a window and has independent features, once again, like letters, then we draw a rectangle around each of those, and that's how we measure the sign area of a window sign. Or if it's 3-dimensional, then there are also rules here of how we measure those signs, which are very unique in their form. Sign height is very critical as well, and sign height and how we measure that, including clearance from the ground for safety purposes, is also in here. And basically all signs are measured to the highest point of the structure or the sign itself in terms of height, and typically from the ground, except for special circumstances like a rooftop sign. The next part is probably, I think, the most complicated part, which is illumination. This is one of the most important parts of sign regulations, aside from the number of signs. Illumination can cause a number of issues for adjacent property owners, for motorists, pedestrians, and so it's important to regulate the illumination of signs properly. And so here is the types of illuminated signs and the regulations around those, including how we measure the foot candles emitted by those signs based upon their size and the distance where we should measure those, to make sure that we're fair to businesses and to make sure that we are doing the right thing in terms of safety for the public. The next part is one of the most important parts of this entire code, and I think where we will see the most usage of this proposed sign code if adopted. This is on-premise signs. This has 13 types of signs listed here in this section. These are the signs that require a sign permit, with one exception. That one exception is the sidewalk sign. These are the signs that are often permanent in nature and placed on a building. There are graphic examples of those on the right-hand side of this presentation and also on each page of your packet here that you all have or is available on the website. So these signs are permitted by types of zoning district. The area of signs allowed per establishment, per right-of-way frontage, is also by zoning district. And then there are special exceptions or certain standards based upon, for area, based upon various uses or legal non-conforming status for businesses that are within a residential district, otherwise unpermitted nature where they are at today. So all of that is outlined here at the beginning. And what we've done, and this is what I think we are most proud of and excited for businesses, is that if a business would like to place a sign on their building or on their property, the rules, for the most part, work this way. And if they don't work this way, they're more permissive. Every business can have up to 2 on-premise signs. So they just go here, and these are one-pagers. And they go, well, I want a wall sign, and then I want a blade sign. And they just go to those 2 pages, and it tells them exactly what the rules are for a blade sign. In other words, those projecting signs that stick out perpendicular from a building, whether those swing or don't swing, we call all those blade signs, are also called projecting. And then with a wall sign, they would look up those regulations, and there's everything they need to know about those 2 signs. And so the businesses just need to look at 2 pages, and they'll be able to figure out everything they need. Currently, if somebody is in a multi-tenant building and in the historic district and a couple other factors, sometimes we have to reference up to 5 different sections of our existing sign code just to even understand the square footage that would be permitted for each sign. So it takes us quite a while, but with this new proposed set of rules, it'll be much quicker and easier to service every business within our community, and much easier for them and the sign companies to navigate as well. So here are the first 5 of those signs. And then in the presentation, here's the next 3. These are kind of the more freestanding ones, monument, pole, and there's a porch sign here, which is a new type that's being proposed. One of the unique things that is going away, I just want to note, is the setback requirement for signs. Basically, as long as the sign is on your property, then you can have it. Otherwise, we had a requirement that all signs had to be set back 5 feet. And for some of our businesses, especially with existing buildings, made it very difficult to have monument signs and other types of freestanding signs on the premise. So that'll be changing, but what will remain is the clear vision area for driveways and intersections for the safety of motorists and pedestrians. So they'll still have to keep it 15 feet away from those corners. Then the last few types of sign here, and one thing missing from the presentation is the sidewalk sign, but there's also the roof sign, skyline sign, wall, and yard sign. We've already talked about these at our previous meetings, so I won't go through them in great detail, but all of those regulations are here. And I do want to mention that I believe there is one amendment we want to propose to 5.3.8.K when we move on later in the meeting for a motion, because I found one typo in the specific standard section of that. So we'll get to that later tonight. And then the last couple sections here is the permanent exempt signs. These are signs that do not require a permit, but they are regulated. So they are limited maybe in area, or they require certain setbacks, or have other standards for the public health, safety, and general welfare. Those may include like an address sign. Everybody's allowed to put address numbers on their building. So we just specify what that's like and what the restrictions are for that, or athletic field signs, ATMs. Good news for any the barbers in town who are listening, barber poles will finally be legalized in the city. I can't tell you how many lovely phone calls I've had about that. And so I'm very sorry to all the barbers in town, but we are finally legalizing those. So you'll be able to have those. And there's all the rules for barber poles. One of the big changes here, though, that I just want to note, which I think is most important, is that window signs will no longer require a sign permit. As of right now, under our current code, every single vinyl window cling or painted letter or anything anybody puts in a window requires a sign permit. This code will change that, and we are proposing to make window signs permanent exempt signs. Now, the trade-off with that is the way they are still regulated is that you can't cover up more than, I believe it is 30% of a window. So, which is also an increase in area from what our current code permits. We were seeing a number of different standards, and we decided to go with something that was a little more towards the higher range. So we chose that 30%. And so those will not require a permit. And so nobody needs to get, if this is adopted and once it takes effect, no one will need to get a sign permit for a window sign. And you will only hear from us about your window signs if you cover up more than 30% of a window. And then, we'd have to come and ask you to get that reduced back down. So lots of great updates here for these types of signs. The next is our temporary signs. This is also greatly simplified from our current regulations. We're very excited for that because currently if somebody wants to put up a temporary sign for an event or some other special reason, our current rules make it very difficult to understand what your actual time limit is and how that works. And here we've unified a lot of that. So there are different types of temporary signs, whether they're banners for a sale, a new business opening, or something like that. Construction signs for projects. Non-commercial signs, that's typically like free speech. So somebody just wanting to make a statement about an issue or a candidate or something. So those regulations are there as well. People signs, think about the folks who wear signs. That's a people sign. That's what that means. That is something new. And we tried to include emerging sign trends in our new code. So there are many new things here. We also created a new, more lenient set of standards for real estate signs. And I'm sure the realtors will be very thrilled about this. Every property being sold is permitted to have a real estate sign, and they can be a little bit larger for commercial properties. The other thing that we're changing here is that we're actually allowing real estate companies to place one small sign up to one intersection away from the property being sold to help guide folks to the property being sold so they know that there may be a house for sale or a commercial property for sale just down the block. They can't string a bunch of signs 6 blocks down. It is only one intersection away because we had to place some type of limit on it. So we didn't just have a lot of the same real estate company plastering signs all the way down Oakwood Road for everyone on their way to Fairmont State. Then the last part here is off-premise signs, billboards. There are both additional restrictions and some more lenience permitted here. And pretty much our only company that we work with on this is Lamar. So I'm sure they will actually probably be very happy with some of the standards here, but we are going to continue to limit where billboards are located. So they will only be allowed in highway, commercial, and industrial. But we'll allow them to be put up in different ways within those areas. And so this way that the freestanding structures and so forth aren't as much of an issue for the community. So that is, without me diving into the nitty-gritty detail, and because there's a lot of information here. Like I said, this is all available online. We also have another recording, which we go through it and much more information. But that is the petition here before you all this evening. So, Mr. President, if you want to open up the public hearing for comment.
Yeah, I'd like to now open the floor to the public for PC 2602, the text amendments to article signs and similar structures. Anybody would like to speak in favor? Nobody. Those opposed? Nobody. I now close the public meeting. Commissioners?
Shay, first I want to say thank you to you and your staff, because this has clearly been a well thought out document. It's reduced a lot of unnecessary hoops to jump through for businesses. And I know that it's taken a lot of work. It's 41 pages, but you guys rewrote every single one, and that's a lot. Not taking into account the research and looking at what other communities are doing. So thank you to you and your staff, because I know that this was a really big undertaking. I know that there was nobody here to speak for or against, but I have received a lot of feedback from local business owners saying that it seemed from what they had read to be much easier, and they were very happy with that. So I just wanted to share that with the group.
Thank you, Commissioner Turner.
Anyone else, commissioners?
Looking at cost.
So the cost of a sign permit, or?
Well, yeah, how you gonna do that?
So the cost of sign permits is remaining unchanged. That's covered in a different article. A few years ago, we passed a zoning amendment that placed all fees into the final section of the zoning code, Article 8. And actually, it's the very last page of the code. So it was very easy for everyone to find what anything costs related to zoning fees. So that will remain unchanged. As of right now, sign permits are $25 plus $1 per square foot of sign. So that will remain as is. But at least for the businesses, they will save a lot of money because most people get window signs. And so we will actually see a significant reduction in sign permits, even though we are being more lenient with signs now. My assumption is we'll see far less permits because window signs now being exempt, but the fees will remain the same as they are.
I can echo what Hannah said. I had a public community conversation, and a couple people stopped by to share that they thought the new changes were good. Personally, as a business owner, I think the changes are good.
If commissioners, are there any other questions or comment on it? Because I just wanted to assist in a motion to fix one typo that I have made in the pole sign section. And under our rules for the planning commission, I'm permitted to make a motion, but obviously I don't have the power for vote. So to help make that a little easier. And so the motion I would like to propose is for the favorable adoption of PC 26-02 with the amendment to section 5.3.8.k. So this is page 15 of these amendments. And this would be under subsection 3, specific standards, item A. The second sentence of item A says, a pole sign may be erected only on site where the building is set back to a minimum of 15 feet from the lot line of the yard the sign will be located within. The amendment would be to make that second sentence its own section with the title location, period, and it would be section B. And then section B, C, D, and E would therefore be shifted to C, D, E, and F. So we would just add one more subsection there to specific site standards. That sentence was not meant to go under maximum number of signs because it's about the location of signs, not how many you are allowed. So that should have been changed. Are there any questions on the motion to amend the text?
Yeah, when I was growing up, that barbershop pole was right on the edge of the sidewalk. You're not gonna allow for a setback on that because people did bang their cars up and, whatever.
I'll answer that question in just a moment. I just want to make sure we get the motion to amend clarified first, and then Commissioner Richardson, I'd be happy to answer that one if that's all right. Okay. No questions? Okay, then I'd be.
Do I have a second on the motion to amend?
Yeah, I guess I am the first. Yes.
Yeah.
Second.
Do we need all in favor of roll count?
Yep. All right. So I made the motion, seconded by Ween.
And Shay, could you do a roll call vote, please?
Okay. So this is the motion to forward favorably with the amendment, and then Commissioner Richardson, I'll answer your question after the roll call vote. So Commissioner Turner,
Yes.
Commissioner Moran,
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson,
Yes.
Commissioner Yan,
Yes.
Commissioner Ween,
Yes.
Commissioner Jura,
Yes.
Commissioner Drennan.
Yes.
The petition moves forward favorably to City Council with the amendment presented. Commissioner Richardson, for barber poles, you raise a great question, and here's something very important that we do have in here that clarifies a lot of things and was a great help to simplify this information. In the general regulations section at the very beginning of the code, we talk about pedestrian pathway and the clearances for that. And so no sign may obstruct the pathway to reduce it to less than 5 feet. And if the barber pole, a lot of them are attached to buildings nowadays, they can't stick out more than 4 inches. No sign can. If they're within 7 feet of the ground of a walkway upward, they can't come out more than 4. That is an Americans with Disability Act design standard. And so this way, somebody with limited vision would not hopefully bump into any protrusion from a building that way. So that 4 inches is the limit there for those if they're attached to the building. So if they're raised up higher than 7 feet and they're like up dangling on the corner of the building or something, then those are okay too. But no, they won't be an intrusion onto the pedestrian pathway and creating a hazard for folks. Yep, and we added that in there to help mostly businesses with sidewalk signs, so they knew how to set those up in a way that was safe and adequate for everyone. So I hope that answers your question, Commissioner Richardson.
Thank you. You did.
Okay.
So on to new business then. PC 2511, John and Carrie Menace are applying for a major subdivision named The Landing at St. John's. Total area to be part of the major subdivision master plan is approximately 41 acres. The approval is for the master plan, but in particular the phase 1 portion, which would create 40 lots, at least 3 new streets, and the infrastructure necessary for that development. The property is also known as Marion County Tax District 4, Map 2, parcels 12, 14, 15, and 48. Shay, would you like to open the discussion?
Yes, so this is, so here tonight, and we are reviewing this plat for this major subdivision. So the plat in the packet for anybody looking online or at home is the second to last page, and the very last page is some of the information pertaining to those measurements and the lines and curvatures of that plat. This is a major subdivision located what's off of Kaufman Drive currently on Fairmont Avenue in the Watson Addition area. This proposed development would have over 100 lots within it under its current master plan. As you can see within the plat, there are a number of streets proposed within this master plan that would network down towards the Tigert River to open this property up for additional housing. None of this is being proposed for commercial use. It is all residential use. There is currently a pending rezoning at City Council, which is up for approval, I believe, at the next meeting here in April for this and some adjacent property to neighborhood residential to permit for the lot sizes proposed, as well as the future townhouses that are shown here in this plat. It's being labeled lots 41 upward there near the intersection of, let me look here, sorry, of St. Mark Way and St. Matthew Lane within the plat. This part tonight, though, in particular, what we are discussing is not just the master plan, which I just want to preference may be amended later on. This is not for certain, but this is just the overall plan. In particular, what is being approved tonight is this overall vision, but in more particular, phase 1. So that is the first 40 lots, I believe, if my count is correct, for the development here. So that's all the way up, and you can see that there's actually a graphic in the staff report that shows you all how far phase 1 goes. And so that is shown, let me find the page number for you all. Just a moment. It is on page 3 of the staff report. So pretty far into your packet, but for that is page 3, and it shows that there. So, yes, and it is 40 lots. So this would include 3 new streets, and then as well as a construction access road that will have the right-of-way dedicated to the city in order to meet the requirements for secondary access as needed for emergency vehicles should there be an issue on the other access road to this development. Within the staff report, I've outlined all the information about these right-of-ways, streets, and all the infrastructure that is being proposed for those, so all that is available here. As well as all the requirements for major subdivisions and the relevance to this major subdivision being proposed here. Before the petitioner gets up to present the information, there was just a few staff comments about some of the items of the plat to be approved. I believe that all of these are minor things that can very easily be addressed, and so with that, I'm not going to read them all off verbatim, but they are available in the staff report, and they're available for the public online. And should these be conditional items that the commissioners agree with staff on, these would be things that we would list off in the conditional approval as you all see necessary for that adoption. And so the staff is recommending for conditional approval of this major subdivision. Few things to reference before opening up the public hearing is that there are 3 items within the comprehensive plan that are relevant to this proposed major subdivision. First is to ensure that all land use policies are fair and equitable. I believe the petitioners have done so by ensuring that there was a diverse set of housing available within this major subdivision, that is seen on the plat that is being proposed tonight, as well as the inclusion of sidewalks within the community. This will help to make sure that the neighborhood is walkable for residents, as well as that there will be different types of housing for different folks, whether they are young professionals perhaps, or maybe larger families that would like to move in to this proposed development. The next part is objective N1 within the comprehensive plan, which is encouraging new housing development that can attract those young professionals and families. And we believe with the size of lots and the size of housing and the approximate cost range that's being proposed, this may very well accomplish that. And to note with that, and something very important, the city just did complete in January a housing needs assessment. The city of Fairmont is 1,000 dwelling units short of what it needs. 1,000. Now, 500 of those are for affordable housing units. So there is a major shorting of those. Affordable housing is at 98% or greater capacity at any given moment. Folks are on a very long wait list to get into affordable housing. But the other 500 units are market rate and up that we are short on. 500 units of housing. So there is a massive shortage of housing just within the city of Fairmont. This is not the broader region. That number is much greater for the region. So with that housing study, which is also available on the city's website for folks to view, we believe that this proposed development will help meet the needs of the housing shortage that we are currently experiencing for the first time in decades. We've always had an excess of housing that was derelict, and now we are short on it, given post-pandemic economics. So this is very relevant to our current needs within the community. But the last factor is C3, to factor public transit for fixed routes into future land use policies and decision-making regarding major subdivisions and land developments. Now, at this time, this proposed subdivision does not have, the only public transit we have in Marion County is the Transit Authority with their buses. At this time, this major subdivision does not have any bus stops proposed or any shelters. However, it's not to say that that couldn't be arranged at some point or couldn't be added in phase 2 or a later phase of this development. But if it was to the concern of the commissioners and the public, that is something we could discuss with the petitioners tonight as part of their project, but that factor was relevant to all major subdivisions in our current comp plan. And I did include the public transit routes and stops and the staff report for you all. There are some close by. There's actually one just out the hill at the Pizza Hut as a bus stop down there. Technically, there's no shelter, but the bus does stop there and pick people up and drop people off, along with a couple other places nearby, including Muriel's. So for folks wanting to go there to eat. But so there is a stop somewhat close by, and there are some sidewalks leading up to this area. So it does make it, although the network is not fully connected, most of it is in place to support that. So with that, that is my brief summary of this. So Mr. President, if you wanted to open up the public hearing and invite the petitioners up to present.
Yes, I would like to open it up to discussion. If the petitioner here would like to speak in favor of PC 2511. If you would, please state your name.
Yeah, for anybody speaking tonight, if you would please write down your name and your address, and then also speak it into the microphone tonight for the record for any of those participating in the public hearing. So, with Mr. Axton, I appreciate that, setting the precedent tonight. Thank you.
I'm speaking on behalf of John K. Arminas on their development. My name is Keith Axton, project engineer for them with Ascent Consulting Engineering. Obviously, like you said, this is a need for the city of Fairmont. Going to be a little bit of a variety of housing. Phase 1 was really what we're here for tonight, with plans to obviously develop the rest of the 41 acres. As you stated, we'll be coming off of Coffin Drive.
And Mr. Axton, if you do need me to bring anything up, I actually have everything loaded on the. Okay.
Fine. Coming off Coffin Drive, and a secondary access for emergency traffic on the Muriel side of 250. That will be down the road in phase 2. It will be open for emergency traffic though, but we will be working with the DOH, and I think the city will be working with us to in the future phases to widen 250 in that area for traffic to properly enter and exit that entrance. I don't know. There's intricate system of sewer, water, stormwater, all meeting the city regulations, setbacks, requirements, lot sizes, all meeting their city requirements. You guys have any questions, comments?
I think the biggest question that I have, obviously, traffic is the probably the issue that a lot of people want to know. Are you already having conversations with the DOH? Is that something that's already been going on?
Yeah. So actually, we already have a DOH permit in hand to access off of 250 for the existing Kaufman Drive. We know that we are going to have to do something. On the other side, there's not enough visibility. There's not enough stopping distance. We've already had this conversation with the DOH. They agree. But we are solely focused on getting the development started and the phase 1 portion of it. It's nice on that side because there is a turning lane already. On the other side of 250, there's not. So a little bit more visibility to see on that side. So that was the key contributing factor to start on that side.
And have they indicated to you what they think a good solution will be, or have you just not gotten to that part of the process?
We haven't got into that, but it would be, I would assume we would be widening the road for the turning lane to continue to go on down to probably to Beach Lane, probably somewhere in there. But that's going to take some time and some engineering and some property acquisition. So there's a lot of factors into that.
Thank you.
Maintenance of the.
Oh,
when the home
Commissioner
is
Yan,
done
you have to push your button. Sorry.
maintenance of the streets and those, now whose responsibility is that in this building? Would that be the city's, like in my area?
Yeah.
Or is
yeah.
it yours?
Yeah, so the cities will be turned over, or the streets will be turned over to the city upon completion and paving of the streets.
Yeah, the city no longer permits for private streets due to the issues that they have created over the decades. So all streets, once built and completed and confirmed by the Public Works Director as meeting the standards, are then turned over both in fee simple land and right of way to the city.
Have you had time to review the staff recommendations? And if so, are those things that you feel could be incorporated if they're made conditional?
I mean, I think we actually just got the email at 4:30, 5 o'clock this evening. So I kind of briefly looked at them before I got here. I'm sure there is things in there that we can adjust. We want this to go forward. I mean, we've been working with Shay on this project for 18 months now. So we're willing to do what it needs to take to get the project going forward.
Yeah, and to Mr. Axton's point, he is correct. They weren't. This has been available to the public on the website since last week, but we were not. We didn't give them the direct list, but some of these were some of the bullet points from previous meetings that we've had. Besides street naming, which was something we had to go through on USPS regulations. Yeah.
Do you have an expected schedule when you're going to start or get through phase one?
Got the contractor sitting in the room. I'd say he wants to start yesterday.
Sidewalks, lighting, rails. That's one thing.
Yeah. So we planned for sidewalk on one side of the street in the subdivision. Street lights will be at every intersection, and there'll be multiple lights other places in the development. So there's visibility. Yep. There's I think we have 5 or 6 in the first phase already that we have planned for right now.
Yeah, and up here on the screen, this is the first set of intersections as you come into the subdivision here. And you can see the 5-foot sidewalks on the northern side of this plat, along with some on the western side. And there are the electrical plan and utility plan shows the streetlights as well at all the intersections, along with crosswalks.
Pardon me, but I've seen projects started. They said they were going to do sidewalks and lighting. It never happened.
Well,
This should be ironclad, before.
Well, it is part of the city's requirements to have sidewalk in their subdivision. So at least on one side of the road. So
I have put the petitioners and Mr. Axton through the ringer on those sidewalks, and so I apologize for heckling you all so much about it, but it is no, we are, and the other thing they're doing, there's a lot of behind the scenes, and so I just want to help clarify a few things. The petitioners have also put up a development bond, so if they fail to construct any of the necessary improvements that were required, streetlights, sidewalks, utilities, and so forth, the city could revoke that bond in order for us to intervene to complete those improvements as needed for the development. So they've gone through every necessary step to help guaranteeing that to the city. So they, and because this is actually the first major subdivision I've done since I've been here as planning director. So in 5 years, this is the first time we've gotten one all the way through, just because it was pandemic when I came on board. But they have put up the bond, and we do have all that paperwork ready as well.
You briefly talked about bus stops. Now, we're not going to complete something, not have a bus stop there, and then tear it up and put it back in again. We're not going to do that, are
There is no requirement. It's just since the comp plan has it in there, I have to mention it. It's my job to you all as the commissioners. I'm here to get all the information and give that to you. But there is no mandate for this subdivision to have a new bus stop, and there is one very close by, less than a quarter mile away from the entryway of this subdivision. So it is very close.
Well, in my neighborhood, all you do is raise a hand and it's a bus stop.
Yep, and I know the transit authority is pretty lenient and get the folks if needed. So, but I just wanted to.
Yeah.
It is in the comp plan, so I had to mention it.
There is some open space that is eventually, once the development is done, that is going to be turned over to the city. So I'm sure Jay can. There might be a little park in there that he wants to put in there. There might be a bus stop that he puts in there. There's going to be some area for some additional things.
Will there be any connection between the healthcare facility and the lots such that they could take a walk in the evening? Because they're limited on space up there, and this would open up that area for them.
So we do have a sidewalk that comes to their entrance. On the side, there's a mailbox kiosk area, and it comes to their entrance. So they would be able to get to the sidewalk there and walk the neighborhood if needed.
Is the construction bond sufficient that if phase 1 is completed and you all decide not to move forward with phase 2, that it would be able to complete that secondary road? That's my concern, is like, I know the plans in the future are phase 2 is gonna have the second entrance exit.
Right.
But if something happens in the long term,
Shay, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's just for the phase 1 utilities and infrastructure that is going in.
I believe so as well, and I know the Cook Brothers had done up a lot of the numbers for us to understand what those improvement values were, and I do believe it just covers phase 1. But the it will be a gravel access road that is being constructed for this development for that secondary entrance. And I don't know what condition it's in, but that actual secondary access already has about 100 feet of asphalt and was actually already built out, but just never developed and is just sitting there. I think at this point it's been derelict so long there's grass growing on top of the asphalt. So there is already some of that already there. It was already built up, and then the rest would be gravel. But no, at this time they are not bonded for that. I don't believe. Yeah. They are going to, and this was one of our. There's so much that happens behind the scenes before they get here, and so I do want to say this was one of those conversations we had to have with the petitioners and the engineers. And the contractor, is that we did ask them to go ahead and turn that right of way over, though. So that gravel road, access road right of way, is going to go ahead and be turned over to the city, even though it's not going to be a built out street yet. So this way we would at least have the right of way authority over it to intervene if needed, if something were to happen. Because the last thing we do want is what we would call, for lack of a better term, zombie subdivisions, where they fail to get built out, because those do negatively impact neighborhoods. So they did do that for us, and you can see on the plat where they are. I have it pulled up now on the screen where they are turning over that right of way to the city.
thank you.
For the phase 1, with the gravel entrance, secondary entrance, will that be gated off for the time being until phase 2 is complete, to prevent anybody, say, dirt bikes, four-wheelers, side by sides?
During construction, it will be gated off, and there'll be access. They'll have emergency vehicles will still be able to have access through there.
Now, is there a specific pattern that you're going to build these houses in?
No, I don't. Not that I know of. I know they want to get a couple spec houses down close to 250. But I think once I think they're going to market a certain couple lots to start out with. Yeah, 3 at a time. So we're hoping to maintain the one section of the property to start out with, so we don't have one house here and one house away, 300 feet away, and
Well, if these houses aren't private, because I would like my house to be up here instead of down here.
right, yeah. I mean, I would defer to John Kerry. I mean, I don't know how they're going to market. I mean, I think they're going to. If somebody would come up and say, we want lot 21, I'm sure they would say, we can give them lot 21. But I think they're going to start on that outer line coming up Kaufman Drive to start out with.
Is there a timeline for phase one? Like, say everything's approved and you guys can move forward. What is that time period to get all of that built out?
2 years.
Thank you. Sorry. I got to ask the questions.
The this proposed green space on the right side of the phase one, is there, what kind of a buffer is that between the existing houses over there?
So there's a utility easement that's at the back of the property line. It's 20 feet wide. So at its narrowest point up there, closest to 250, say 30 feet, 40 feet, the back of the property line. So there's a 40-foot buffer between the back property line and the back property line of the adjacent subdivision.
I think by the time you get down to lot
10.
7, 8, 9, 10, it's 80 feet plus.
Yeah, 80 feet
Yeah,
plus.
that's a pretty big, and that's it's our understanding too, to clarify, it's not noted here on the plat, but or maybe it is in the final one, but the proposed green space is intended to be turned over as a conservation open space area to the city as part of the project, and that was part of the discussion. So that won't be developed property, that will be preserved area. So, and that was something that, once again, the petitioners and the engineers and everyone worked out with the city for this.
I will have to say too, on the beach lane side too, once that goes forward, most of those homeowners on that side, John and Carrie have already talked to. They've agreed to purchase more land in the back, so they are actually going to get bigger backyards. So there's not going to be very many houses over on that side butting up to some of those properties.
The utility easements, and is that for power or is that for underground utilities themselves?
Underground utilities, so it'll be stormwater and sanitary. Sanitary runs along the Tiger River down Lowest Point. So we'll have to get sanitary down the hill and to the down to the Tiger River. So for the most portion, it is going to be sanitary. There is some stormwater and some open ditches that we'll have in those easements, but that's mainly sanitary.
Now, my question on the sanitary, access for, say, backups or maintenance, if need be, how would that happen?
So they have 20. It's 20-foot wide swath. So anything that's owned by that's going to be turned out, any utility that's going to be owned by the city will have 20 feet to go in there and maintenance.
And that's, I apologize, that's what I mean. So how would they, say, dump trucks or utility trucks get back there without going through somebody's lot?
They would have to access. If you're looking in the bottom right-hand corner here, we're between lot 10 and the lot 11. There's a space between there that has a wider swath that they would access there to get anything in the rear of those properties. They wouldn't have to go through any new homeowners' properties to get there.
Okay.
And And of course, everything in the right-of-way is going to be owned by the city, so the city will have any precedence on maintenance or work in the city right-of-way.
Everything will be underground. Water, gas, cable,
Yes.
everything.
Yep.
No utility poles, nothing.
No, the only thing that'll be above, the only thing they'll have will be the light poles. That'll be it, that you'll see. That'll be the only thing. Everything else will be underground. There's actually a couple old utility poles with an old line that runs out there where there was a couple older houses at one point in time. That's all gonna get removed. And the first utility pole is gonna be, we're gonna pull off of that down by 250 and everything's gonna be underground from there.
Anybody else have any questions for the petitioners? Yeah, is there anybody else that would like to speak favorably for the petition, development?
For the applicants,
Yeah.
or the applicants themselves first, or, yep, okay. Like I said, just make sure you write down your name and your address, and then speak it into the microphone as well for the record.
No, I still ask who's
Yeah.
for it. I haven't asked who's.
And you all are for the petition, correct? You're
Yeah, but I have some points of like clarification.
okay, some questions? Okay.
Question, I'm for most of it, but I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean-
And we do allow, at the end of the hearing, for the petitioners to get back up to do rebuttal to help answer any questions. Yep.
Yeah.
So feel free to ask anything, because if we don't know, we can allow them to get back up and to help ease any concerns and give additional clarity. Yep.
Okay.
My name is John Urso, and she lives across the street from me on Beach Lane, and we're concerned about, are you going to use the road for an exit to get in and out of this project or not? Because she has 3 very small children, and
Is that the road you're referring to, is that Beach Lane, or?
yes,
At this time, and in the plat up on the screen, they are not proposing to construct a road to Beach Lane, but
Just the right of way is just an access point for emergency vehicles. Is there construction?
nothing, no construction is proposed. We do have a requirement in our subdivision regulations where if there is an adjacent subdivision, they have to offer right-of-way. So if the city were to come in, that we're allowed to build a street to tie them in. Because research shows that better connected neighborhoods are typically much safer, have safer traffic, and also safer access. So they're not required to build a road to Beach Lane, nor at this time is the city allocating funding, capital funds, to build a road to Beach Lane. They're just dedicating a right-of-way.
Will there be a hearing? Sorry, I don't know if you can hear me.
Oh, sorry.
Will there be a hearing if there is going to be a road to connect? Because I know you said not at this time, but that doesn't mean down the road that you decide that you're
for
going
the
to.
second phase.
And
Correct.
We have, it's not just my family, there's other young children on our street. My family, we go on a lot of walks outside, and so I'm very concerned about, any traffic.
Yeah, so I do believe it takes a ordinance of council to open a street, as the phrase we use, to then open it up for traffic and to develop it if it's just a paper street. That's actually, usually we also go through planning commission for that first too, so normally there's some public notice and hearings as well, very similar to this. But that does take action of council to open those up once those are dedicated. So, yeah, there would be notice, and like I said, given my job, and I watch the capital projects very, very closely, and at this time, I see nothing in our immediate future where the city in our 5-year, 10-year capital plans intend to develop this connecting road at the time. We have so many unconnected streets within the existing city grid that need tied together first, especially over in the university area. So I don't believe this would be our top priority.
Well, as a kid, I played up there for years, and behind one of the houses, there is a very, very old graveyard. And the stones were they were sandstones, and you couldn't hardly read the numbers or the names.
I'll have to let I was unaware of any cemetery or anything, but we'll have to let the petitioners answer that one. So yeah.
It's going to be in the area where the trees are.
Near where
stuff.
this area kind of in here? Okay.
It's right there, it's laid out on the plan right there.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yep. So I believe they've labeled that as one of the conservation areas where they're not developing. So I don't believe that'll be disturbed. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so everything we see here on the left that's blank is currently in their master plan proposed to either be joined with the existing houses on beach or conservation area and stormwater management area. So they're not proposing to develop this acreage at this time. So that is in the later phases meant to be reserved.
And I live on Beach Lane on that side, and we would love to purchase that land, but we have not been contacted yet. So I know other people have been, but we have not. Maybe it's just a matter of timing. But yes, I would like to be contacted about that. And then also, just with the with the traffic and everything, it sounds like it's going to be addressed, but I just wanted to reiterate that it is difficult already, visibility-wise, to get out of Beach Lane, but I think, as long as there's something done, especially since there's gonna be a lot more traffic, I think that would be great. I'm not opposed to this, I think it will be great for our city. I just wanna make sure that, my family is going to be safe where we're living, so.
Yep. Yeah, I know we've, it's a little bit outside of their scope. They can't handle this, but the city has advocated that we're going to try to go to the table with them to even get the speed limit reduced a little farther up the road to make it safer for traffic as well. Because as this gets developed over the years, we want to make sure everybody is safely coming in and out. I know I believe it's 45 all the way up to the top of the hill, and there's limited visibility. So that is a safety concern, especially with the senior center down on Maple and so forth. So that is something we're going to try to work with them and the West Virginia Department of Highways to address. So hopefully they listen to our requests and can help us move that along. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else in favor of PC 2511? No one else? All right. Anyone opposed to the development at St. John's?
And just to clarify, I know it's a little bit confusing in case you're neutral. The only 2 times to speak in the public hearing is either for or against, even if you're neutral. So this is the last chance to participate in the public hearing. So just to clarify for those in the room, since we have quite a few people tonight.
Nobody opposed? Does the petitioner have any clarification on the questions asked?
I'll just clarify. The access is just for, like Shay said, just for the city to later on have connected neighborhoods. There was also thought at one time that we were going to bring some utilities through there. That is not at anything right now. As for the cemetery, you have to maintain access to the cemetery, so that is also why it's right beside the road, so there will be access to the cemetery. It will be untouched. It'll be completely left alone during construction. So.
Well, if there's any way I can help you find the stone
Sounds good. I know we, when we surveyed it, we found two headstones out there, so when we were out there. So, yeah, I think we've got them.
You have the right area.
Yeah, it's right there.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
It's that little tiny.
It's that little thing right there.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Oh, yeah, it is labeled. It's labeled
Yeah.
on the.
It's right there.
On the construction document.
Yeah.
Yep, okay. Yes, that's that right there. Okay. And I mean, I got to say, just from the city's perspective, we do end up becoming usually the owners of a lot of the cemeteries, looking to potentially even buy another one right now on East Side because they just, no one else maintains them. So
There's actually
sense.
quite a few of those around. There's one down by the train depot.
Yep.
Thank you. Oh, yes, thank you. All right, I now close this public hearing for PC 2511. Commissioners, do you have anything, concerns or comments?
I generally think it's really great to see so many people come out and be informed about what's happening in their community.
I mirror that because usually there's nobody in here and it's just all of us talking to ourselves. So appreciate everybody coming, whether you're for or against. It's good to see people paying attention to what's going on.
The only concern I have, which the petitioners kind of clarified it, I kind of stand on a line because I don't speak for utilities, but I also look at the utilities, was access to that area behind the houses. I know in the winter times, if it gets real bad, going through people's backyards, going through there, if it's muddy, getting access to it easily, I think might be a little difficult, not impossible, but that's the only concern I have with the whole development. Other than that, I think it'll be a great addition to the community.
And Commissioner Drennan, I'm just pulling up the topography back there just for
No,
reference.
yeah. Like I said, I can't speak for utilities, but I still have in the back of my mind in developments.
Yep. So it's that steep, yeah. Yeah, there it is. So especially like back here, this is where the steep slope starts after the steep part there. But no, I don't have a mouse on my computer. I'm sorry. This is not the easiest thing to, I know. And I don't have touchscreen either, but doing the best I can with, I'll buy a mouse. I'm sorry. We have the budget. I can afford a mouse. I'll get it next time. Yeah, especially given the current proposal is to turn over that open space and conservation space to the city. I believe that that was kind of one of my questions too about that. But with all the open space being turned over during the project, I believe that'll give us ample room to be able to get in there and access all those things, even with some of the slopes that are existing on the property now. And it looks like there will be some benches that will be traversable for our equipment and so forth to get in there and do that work. Yeah, I think just before we go for the motion, commissioners, because I was recommending a conditional approval. So I guess. Can you talk about that? Yeah. So I'm not going to kid you all. Some of this is just because of our regulations. It is very nitpicky. I'm very sorry, Keith and everyone else working on this. It's just I have to advocate for what's in our subdivision regs. So if we go to page 6 of the staff report, really what matters is that the most critical of those things is, and all this can be, they don't have to make absolute determinations tonight. When you all give this approval, they can actually make minor adjustments, very minor adjustments to the approved plat. So we don't actually have this in perfect detail. We just have to have general guidelines that they need to adhere to. So that helps this to be much easier to work through. And so I would advocate that under those recommendations, starting on page 6, that the right-of-way of St. John's Way should be more unified But there are some challenges with that because of the way the property lines are laid out with the long-term care home and the existing Kaufman Drive. But if it's feasible to unify that with an even 50 feet as much as we can, up to the first intersection, especially also because that would capture a stormwater line and drain inlet that is proposed, and I do have that pulled up here, that is proposed to be in the yard of one of the lots. So I'm highlighting it there with my mouse up on the screen, and that would help capture that and pull that into a public right-of-way rather than public or private property, which, as you know, working with utilities, sometimes that gets a little hairy with folks. Folks are very protective of their private land and get very upset when we try to enter into it, even when we have easements. Next would be that there's some drainage swales on the plans that don't have utility easements. These do not need to be alleys. That is not a requirement, but they do need easements turned over to the utility department so that if one homeowner decides to create a dam on the swale and create problems for their neighbors upstream, so to say, that the utility department would have the authority to be able to go in there and intervene and make sure that stormwater continues to flow as was planned in the development. So the one in particular that we see is the one here on the western side of the development along these lot lines that I'm rubbing the cursor over now up on the screen. There may be one or two others, but the other thing, and I'm going to be transparent with the commission, we have a requirement that all alleys are supposed to be 16 feet plus wide. Given the nature of this development, they're trying to keep the lots a little bit smaller for these nice patio homes, so the affordability is maintained with this. They are proposing to put a sewer and stormwater drainage here along the rear lot lines of these lots. There's also a drain inlet for the storm drain here at the end of this lot near on St. John's Way. And so what the city would ask is, rather than the required 16-foot alley, we at least do a 10-foot. None of these lines are very deep, it seems, according to the plans. And so 10-foot would be enough for us to be able to physically get access in there and to be able to get to these lines. And by my estimates, it would pull in the stormwater drainage and it would pull in the drain inlet, and it would not impact the setback requirements of those private lots, and they'd still be able to be built out because we count alleys as part of setbacks. But that would reduce the private land. Then,
Shay, has that been confirmed with stormwater to be, with the stormwater department to be good with them?
no, they just wanted an easement. But to clarify with that, and this is, and to clarify, we do have a disagreement between planning and utilities on that. And the reason being is utilities is very much used to working with easements. They do that every day all across the county. Remember, 4 counties. But for us in building inspections and zoning and planning, we don't know where easements are. So we can't prevent property owners from building on top of easements and then blocking utilities access to our underground utilities. And it happens way more often than you think. In fact, we even have one resident city that I know that has a whole swimming pool on top of a stormwater line because it's in an easement, not in an alley, right? Alleys are one of the only ways we can keep very clear public records of this land is not to be developed. It is held publicly and you can't encroach upon it. And that's where I wanted to kind of split the difference, and rather than a big 15-foot or 20-foot easement, because you see they're very generous. They got 20-foot easements all the way around the rest of this development, and which will be great for our utility department. But here in this one instance, because of the shallow nature of the utilities and the minimal amount that's in there, I would like to try to propose the smallest amount of impact upon the proposed development, instead do a 10-foot wide alley. It wouldn't be improved. There's not going to be any asphalt. It would just be a very small public right-of-way in which those utilities would sit inside of. And this would prevent those folks from putting fences or other permanent improvements over top of where those underground utilities are.
But who owns that right away?
That would be the city if it's an alley. So we have to own all right-of-ways when the developments are finished.
You Said no asphalt.
We're not going to pave it. So it'd be a paper alley, like we have many of with utilities in them. Yep. And then the only other thing that's, let me just look through here real quick. Because like I said, most of these are very, to be quite honest, nitpicky because of the subdivision standards. I think the last thing, and we are responsible for this, so we do have to recommend this to council, and that is the naming of the streets. I think the petitioners and developers made some good proposals. It's in theme with what they're doing here. However, USPS standards do not want any words abbreviated in a street name unless it is the final word in the name of the street. So rather than doing the streets are labeled on here as like for St. John and St. Matthew and St. Andrew, it's St. John, St. Matthew, Andrew, and so forth. Instead, we would propose that this be adjusted so that Saint would be, we just make sure it's very clear that it's fully spelled out. Saint would have to be written out every letter. And then some of these appear to have the S on them and some do not, so we can clarify that later, but those would be clarified whether they were possessive or not, and we would recommend probably doing non-possessive for USPS standards, so it'd be St. John, St. Andrew, St. Matthew. But then the only other question besides that, besides clarifying those couple little things with USPS standards, is then the suffix. So lane, way, avenue, street, and whether those needed to be more uniform with the way we do in the rest of the city. So these are, they have a couple ways, they have a lane, but I do know very often we do avenues running north to south, and we do streets east to west, and then in the rest of them, the lanes and drives and everything else are scattered in every direction. So with that, it's whether or not we wanted to ask for the north to south running right-of-ways to be avenues or not, or to make St. John a street and have the rest of them be lanes, or any of that type of suffix adjustment, just to help with that clarity of it. Watson is one of the worst offenders for street suffixes, just as a note for our neighborhoods. But a number of them do actually have the standard avenue and sometimes the standard street when we look through this whole side of town south of the West Fork River. So there is some consistency, but it's not very thorough. So there are several avenues over in this area. So that's something we could consider. We just do that to try to make sure it helps us with emergency calls, post office, just to keep that more consistent. Because then everybody knows, oh, if it has the avenue, then it must be one of the streets running this direction. Or if it's a lane, it's tied in this way, right? When we do circles, everyone knows those streets loop back around. Like when we name it a circle, it goes all the way around. It comes back out again on the same right of way. So some of these do actually have meaning to them. So I just wanted to talk with you all as the commissioners tonight, because the street naming, once we propose this is it. Like these are what the streets are named in perpetuity until council passes an ordinance to rename them. So I just wanted to bring that up before you all this evening. Obviously, and also just to clarify, there is absolutely no conflict with, that's always the other thing we look for, is repeating or similar phonetic street names. With these naming the streets after the saints, I found no streets in our street list that this would be phonetically close to or duplicating. So I don't believe this would create any issues for 911 calls or anything like that. We have so many streets that are repeated in this city. It's so bad. Yeah.
Do you guys have a preference? This
Yeah.
seems like a silly thing to like have a conversation about, but
Well, I mean, Shay and I can talk.
yeah. Do we have to like, but for the motion and the conditions?
We could say,
do we
you could
have
just say
to-
that the streets would be clarified before going to council, that we would
Okay.
have that. Yep.
That's fine.
That's what I'm saying. We could do this all as guidelines.
Right.
And I would honestly recommend, if I didn't mention it, dropping it. Like if I didn't bring it up,
Put it
Yeah.
someplace else where we can get.
yeah, or not worry about it. I just wanted to list it here as fact for you all for the hearing, and so I wasn't not. Well, I didn't want to omit anything that was in our regs.
But
So
USPS didn't tell you that it had to
No.
be. Oh, okay.
This is just one of the things that's in our subdivision code, but it's not even like perfectly laid out. It's just we should look at this, we should do that, we should do this. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I know.
So do,
Oh,
At the at the health center up there, and they just have a fence to separate the properties, correct?
I'm unsure that there is any type of fence. No.
I don't know if it's on, I think actually the fence is on this side.
Yeah, it's but so and just to clarify, because unfortunately we closed the public hearing and folks did leave, so we can't. Yeah, I know, but this is what I will say, and something they weren't here this evening. I don't believe no one from the care home, but I've had numerous emails and phone conversations. And just one thing, they did note that they were delighted about the sidewalks and the opportunity for the residents to be part of a neighborhood in our city and to be able to walk around, and they were very excited about that.
I just don't
Yeah.
want nobody wandering around.
Yep.
That
It's same, yeah, and they were not worried about. They were actually excited that they were going to be neighbors for their residents to be able to walk around and be part of a community finally. Just to note, they were also. You can see on the plat here on the screen, there's an undeveloped area that goes towards the Tigert River. That's part of the slopes, the natural contours of the site that are being at this time proposed to be conserved. And they were also very delighted about that because their residents have stated that they enjoy that view shed very much. So they were very happy to hear that some of that was being maintained as open space at this time. So that is this area right here as the proposed St. Matthew Lane ascends and declines from phase 1 to phase 2 of the development. So those were things that they did bring up, and I wish they could have been here this evening to both raise their concerns and talk about their perceived benefits with you all.
all right. So do I have a motion to forward favorably, PC 2511?
So moved.
I'll second that
Well,
Oh.
we have to say with
with the
provisions
conditions.
that these street names be decided upon later before going to council. Yeah.
Yeah, it is the will of the commission, I will say. So obviously I brought up just a few points this evening. If you all wanted that motion to include just these things being sorted out before the final plats are stamped. Actually, wait, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. Sorry, it's been a long week. It's been a long year already. This does not go to council. This is it. This is final. Oh, yeah. Sorry. It's been a long year. I'm sorry. And that sign code really racked my brain. Yeah, so no, it does not need to. There's no more. So this is it. So they can just work it out with us in the office, actually, and then we'll stamp it and approve it based on your all's guidance. So if you're good with what the staff recommends as a general guideline, as we can work it out with them in the office, get the stamps on it, and then get them going. And I think just these few things like that, a very small alley, figuring out the street naming for the final stamp plat, and a couple of those other little details, and then that's it. If that's good with you all as commissioners. Or if you're not worried about it also, because you have the authority to do either way.
as long as the post office is happy.
They are indifferent. They are indifferent as long as we don't cause confusion. Yeah.
Frank, do you want to make the motion?
Did you want to make the motion?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Whatever.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion and a second.
Shay, would you please do a roll count vote?
Okay, so Commissioner Yan moved, Turner second. Okay. Roll call vote. Commissioner Jura,
Yes.
Commissioner Turner,
Yes.
Commissioner Ween,
Yes.
Commissioner Moran,
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson,
Yes.
Commissioner Yan,
Yes.
and Commissioner Drennan.
Yes.
Okay, the motion is approved, and the major subdivision is conditionally approved unanimously by the Planning Commission. So we'll work with you all, and it's just in office at this point for any minor adjustments or any little final details. And with that, the project is approved, so we can get all your stuff moving forward. So we'll get a hold of Ascent and you all and get that going. So let us know any questions you have, and we got 2 more business days if you want to get started sooner rather than later.
Thank you guys. I know that this is a huge project and a huge undertaking, and not a lot of people would be willing to do something like this to create more houses in our community. So I think it's a great thing.
Yeah, thank you all very much.
I think the hard part's over for them now.
Construction's the easy part.
Oh, yeah, it only took them a year and a half of working with us to get to this point. So thank you for your patience as well. We appreciate it.
Now we're back to talking to
Look at that.
Okay, with that, I don't have,
Citizens petitions.
we have none this evening.
So we move on to dispositions or past petitions. PC 2601, City of Fairmont is petitioning to rezone what is known as Sharon Steel site on Lafayette Street from highway commercial to industrial, the 1800 block of Oregon Avenue, and properties north of the drive from highway commercial to general residential. Properties north of Cherry Lane and west of Dixie Avenue up to Lafayette Street from highway commercial to north neighborhood residential, and Block C, lots 1 and 2, and Block D, lots 1 through 7, from highway commercial to neighborhood residential to promote the adaptive reuse of Sharon Steel and protect the existing adjacent housing with residential zoning districts.
Yeah, I just wanted to update you all because I was hoping to have this back for a vote at this time. We are still working on this as staff. I apologize. We have been the busiest we ever have been, truly, in the planning department. But so we expect to have this back to you all in May or June. We have everything already written up. We just need to finalize the report and make sure we have all the information accurate and true to you all and to share with the public as well. So I just want to give you an update that we'll have that to you in the next month or two. And if you want a draft of anything we've done, I can send it forward to you all to look at as well. So what we are proposing at this time is a whole new zoning district that we're going to call an employment park. So it's not quite industrial, it's not technology, but it hones the uses of the land to what we want Sharon Steel to become in the future and to support those land uses a little better than what our existing districts do. So that's ultimately what staff had come to. So we have that drafted now and are getting that finalized, and we'll share with you all here soon. And related to that as well, there will be a zoning petition coming to you all in May or June. And because we just annexed a new territory in Carriage Drive up off of up in Peacock Park area. So if you go up Locust Avenue near Broadview and up that area, it's out to the west towards the ridge line on the opposite side of where Goose Run Road is. So there was a little chunk that was actually not within the city, and I'll actually show it here to you real quick on the map. When we annex property, it doesn't have any zoning, so actually it's here on the map right now. This is where Carriage Drive is, off of Brookside. And so we'll have to assign this to zoning district. And as you can see, everything around it's the same zoning district, so we're probably going to pitch for it to be general residential like everything next to it. Don't worry, if anybody needs to do any improvements to this property in the interim until we assign it zoning, we actually treat it like it's general residential until we zone it general residential. So that'll be coming before you all here soon. And so our city has grown by just a little bit in April this year. So just to note that as well.
What is these zonings going to be done at? Are they still notifying the same manner that they put signs in the area for the residents to come and protest, or
Yes, so
they receive the certified letters?
they'll receive certified letters, and there will be postings in the neighborhood as well. So both signs and letters sent out. Yep. And then it takes quite a while to get that through council, and so we'll have that going to council after you all as well. So yeah, there'll be notice on that for both Sharon Steel and this new annexation here. Yep.
what did you say you was a new zoning for PC 2601? What did you call it?
An employment park.
Employment park. Now, will that have any effect on the petitions we voted on earlier, such as the signs?
No. Well, we may need to adjust those, and so that's part of what we're taking our time to look at, is make sure we get all that right. So we obviously will have to go back through a few different sections of the code to add that in there.
But it'd just be like adding a call.
It'll be adding it, and so it'll be like, we would amend the new sign code to be like, oh, okay, an employment park is now the same as technology for signs, right? So we'd put that in there. Yep.
Okay.
Does that have any effect on the trail running through there?
No, at this time it does not. So it won't have any impact on the proposed recreational trail in that area. So we're very much looking forward to that as well, and having that as part of the attraction for employment in that area.
So do we need to lay this over to?
Nope, it was just an item to discuss. There's no motion necessary for that one.
Thank you. And on to other business, the annual report. Shay, if you would.
So I have not sent that over to you all at this time. I apologize. We've been working on these things, but our other staff is working on that to get that finished up into you all, and we'll have it to you ahead of the State of the City address that the city manager will be giving here soon. I believe in May or June. May, I believe that's happening. So we'll have that annual report to you all, and it's just everything we did in 2025 calendar year. And related to that, I do want to give an update on the comp plan. We have gotten proposals in. We got 5 of them. So we are working through as staff grading those and trying to get a short list of firms, and then we'll be conducting interviews in the next couple weeks to try to make a recommendation for which consulting firm to hire for the comp plan update. So we are very happy to get a number of proposals for folks who were interested in helping us with that project. So that is moving along.
Comprehensive plan update.
Oh, that's it. Yep.
Oh, sorry.
That's it.
Yes,
Yep, that's
sorry.
it.
I always thought that was the annual report too. Nope. All right. To have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
So moved.
Okay.